Hi, my name is Keri Barnum. I'm the Executive Director of New Shelves Books, and we're here for Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday where we talk about book marketing, publishing, anything along the author journey. We take questions live at newshelves.com/FAF, or you can email them in to info@newshelves.com. And we have quite a few emailed questions today we're going to tackle, and we'll take questions live. We do also stream to Facebook if you're watching us there. Hello. But I unfortunately am not talented enough to toggle back and forth and answer all the questions there. So you are welcome to join us on Facebook. However, if I don't get to your question, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I'm simply not that multi-talented. So you can always email in your questions, or again, you can join us live on Zoom. You are obviously not on camera, so Jamie's welcome. So one of the first questions we had in was a question I get fairly often. So this question is about the difference between the publisher's rights for distribution and copyright and the author's rights. So the question essentially is, if I am working with a publisher, whether it be hybrid or traditional, who has what rights? Does the copyright stay mine? And yes, the author, typically, you absolutely want it in your contract, the author maintains the copyright. The copyright means that this is your work and you are the owner of that work. Now, what a publisher gets when you are doing hybrid publishing, or if you are doing assisted publishing or traditional publishing, what the publisher gets is the right of distribution. They get the right to sell and distribute your words. So the copyright is just protection of your idea, of your actual writing, and that should always stay with you. If there is a contract that is asking for copyright, giving them copyright, that is more of something that would happen like as a ghostwriter, and you should be paid much more for that. If you're giving away copyright of your material, that means you are literally just signing it over to someone, and you should be paid much more for that than you would if you were selling a book to a publisher, getting an advance, and then making royalties under your own name and still owning the intellectual property and the written property. So typically you keep the copyright, the publisher gets the distribution and sales rights. And in exchange, of course, there's some type of payment, and typically you have a royalty deal as well. If someone's asking for your copyright, number one, decide if you want to give it away. Sometimes, I mean, ghostwriters write things all the time and they literally sell those rights away. But again, they get paid more. So you have to think about your goals. Do you want to give these things away? Do you want to maintain your name and your control over it? And also, how much is that number? If someone says, hey, $50,000 and I'll outright buy your book, but I'm taking the copyright, is it worth it to you? For some people, the answer is yes. For some, it's no. So you've got to decide for yourself. Okay, let me see. The next question I had was about selling books to the military exchange. So the question was, I had done a presentation recently on how to pitch your book to bookstores, to chain stores, to airports. So how to get your book into brick and mortar places. And one of the questions that came about was, what about AFES or about the military exchange? So if you have a book that you think would be a great fit for the military exchange. So maybe you are a veteran or the spouse of a veteran, or maybe you have a book that you think would fit really well because it's about healing of trauma, or it is a memoir of some historical figure, whatever it may be. If you have a book you think would do great at the military exchange, they do take titles. However, they have some very strict rules about the books that they take. Number one, they only work with wholesalers who have jobbers. What's a jobber? Well, if you have ever been in the grocery store and you're looking for something and there's someone sitting there like, you know, putting chips on the shelf. So you stop and say, excuse me, can you tell me where the dryer sheets are? And they kind of look around and they're like, well, I'm so sorry, I don't know, but I don't really work here. And then you're like, well, you're stocking shelves, you're here, but you don't work here. That's because they are a jobber. A jobber is someone who comes from the company who has the product, who as a service to the place that they are getting their products on the shelves, they actually stock the product. You see this a lot with beer, with Budweiser, like beer and different things like that. Chips, you'll see it. So big brands, what they do, one of the services, so that the store does not have to pay workers to stock shelves or worry about the details of it, is a jobber comes in and puts those items directly on the shelves. And publishers, big publishers and big wholesalers also have this option. So if you want to get into a military exchange, they are not going to order your book from Ingram and put it in the store typically. Of course, there are always exceptions to the exception. However, what they will typically do is that they will actually order from a wholesaler that has a jobber, and the jobber will then put it on the shelves. What the jobber also does is if that book becomes outdated, if it doesn't sell, the jobber comes back, takes it off the shelf, and brings it back to the wholesaler. So what does that mean? It means that military exchanges require that the book is returnable. So you need a wholesaler or a book distribution partner who has jobbers and will deliver directly to the store. And you also need a book that's not only at a full trade discount, but you need a returnable item as well. If you fit all these items and you're still like, yep, I got it, and I think that my book would be great in military exchanges, then you can contact their buyers directly. It's right on the military exchange store, and you can do it that way. But again, they've got pretty strict rules, and they only work with certain wholesalers who meet the requirements. So there's that, and at least now you know, you've got the information, and you can go out and pitch if you'd like. Let's see, how much should a publisher offer an author for publishing and distribution rights? When we are looking at royalty deals, I literally just wrote a blog on this. It's not even posted yet. So if we're looking at how authors get paid, if it's a traditional publisher, they will typically offer an advance. The advance can be as low as $1,000. It can be as high as 6 figures. It depends on the demand for the book and how niche it is. So there's typically an advance, and then they get a royalty, and that royalty may be as low as 3% or as high as 15%, sometimes even higher depending on the deal. So there's quite a range in there. Again, it depends on if the author already has an audience. Is the author's names known? How much of a demand is there for a book? What's happening in the marketplace. So there's a little bit of a window in there as far as how much a author gets paid for their work. And coming soon from a blog near you is a whole post about it. Let me see. I know an author who posts on Facebook and other outlets about their book, and it's almost once per day. Being friends, I see them, and it's so often that it ticks me off. Sorry, I lost the train because I'm trying to scroll down. What is an optimum number of posts? I don't want to do too much or too little. So I have this rule. I call it the 80-20 rule. For every 4 posts that you post about fun things, your cats, what's going on today, funny memes, bookstores, don't care, something that your audience will enjoy, you get 1 book or promo post, just 1. Now, there are times for sure, 4 out of 5. Bob, it's like you and I are on the same page, and that's exactly what it is. 80-20. And keep in mind, you have to develop a relationship with your audience. You have to ask about them. You have to find common ground for them to even care about your book. So the 80-20 rule works very well because it helps you foster that relationship. Now, as far as how often you post on each platform, that depends actually based on what platform it is. There are some platforms like Facebook, for example, that really feeds into once a day posting. In that case, you could hit that 80-20 in a single week and actually start on the next 80-20. For certain places like your blog, let's say, your blog typically you'll post twice a week, or you may only post once a week, depending on your goals. And with that, you kind of have to look at the balance there. Of course, your blog is meant to be all about you, but you want to pull it in creative ways. And again, our blog, look at this, so helpful. I did just recently post a blog. Let me share my screen because you know I like to do that. And it is all about, this one was specific for video. So this is video marketing, video length, and posting frequency. But a lot of the information works across your channels because it's got, look, if you're not signed up for a newsletter, you should. All right, so it's all about the platform. So I have just done a blog that's just came out on Thursday that is all about each platform. If it's YouTube, how often should you post? About, minimums, 1 time a week. I've even given you the best days to post and the length of videos. So again, some of this will segue over if you're not doing video, but it's still got the information there. TikTok, 1 to 3 times a day. That's a heck of a lot of posting. So a lot of people are finding success with TikTok, but when I say that it takes quite a bit of time and commitment, I mean it. Instagram, 2 to 3 times a week. And again, this doesn't all have to be video, but you do want to work video in there. And then we've got Facebook, 1 time per day. And again, all of the information that you need, even for newsletter and your blog. So some of this, I know it says video on there, but some of it is overall just social media posting and how often you should post on those platforms. I will drop that link right in here. And so that way you've got it. And yeah, people absolutely do. People notice if all you're posting about is your book, and it makes you want to hide them. There's actually a feature on Facebook where you can hide people or you can mute them. I've used that feature more than once where I'm like, you know what, let's stay friends, but I just don't want to hear from you unless you specifically message me for something for about 30 days, and let's see if you cool out. Now, of course, there are times where you might post more concentrated times. If your book is coming out that week, maybe you just have a lot of exciting news, and I totally get it. That is the exception. But in general, you want to make sure that you are doing that 80-20 rule. Let me see. Richard, I see you. I had responded. My email server, I just found out, was kicking back emails to me. I just got a bunch of notifications on Friday with the storm, Monday and Tuesday. So I will resend that to you. I do think it's a good idea, by the way. Let me see. Have I heard of Proisal? I think I'm saying it right. Proisal Publishing. They contacted me from New York. Very nice, but everyone always wants money. They said they'd spend $11,000 on me after I spend $499 or $2,500. I never do these, but this was my original title from 2012, 2014. Caroline, I would have to know, are they asking to republish your book? Typically, anyone contacting you, asking you to spend money if you didn't sign up for their service, or saying they can make you a bestseller, you just need to spend $2,500 to republish your book. Typically, I say run. It's one thing if you go to them, but I typically say if they are marketing you like that, it's not something I would jump into. I do not know this company in particular. I cannot say whether it's a great company or not, but that is my rule of thumb. And I always say, you know what, if your book came out in 2012, unless it's had some really great success, or it's something that is totally new and fresh that just got discovered, most publishers are not going to try to publish it later. It's already been out. There's no meat on the bone for them. It has to hit this really sweet spot. I get asked this quite often. What are the chances of a publisher actually wanting to pick up and republish my book? Because I hear that about indie authors, where an indie author publishes and then they get a publishing house who actually wants to buy the rights and republish. There's this really, really tiny sweet spot of when that happens. And typically, if that's going to get picked up by a publisher, it's going to be in the first year, maybe 3 years of the book coming out. And the book needs to have sold somewhere between 3,000 and 10,000 copies. Enough that they know that people are really interested, but not so much that they feel like there's no more audience for the book, but they still can make a lot of sales off of it. Again, there are exceptions for the exceptions, but that's kind of the rule of thumb. This is what I've heard from publishers directly, from their marketing teams, from agents, from the actual interns who are sometimes tasked to go out and look for those books. So it's right in there. And yes, if you're still asking about the 80-20 rule, it's 80% non-book, non-promotion post and 20% about your book. Now, when I say non-book, it can be about reading or libraries or different things like that for social media. I see some very helpful people responding, but I don't know if you realize that you're set to just host and panelist. So it's sending to me, not to everyone. All right. So again, if someone's approaching you, I say go with caution. If you signed up for their services, if you reached out to them, totally different. New Shelves is a marketing company. We are a book marketing company. We sell services. And yes, we do ask authors for money for our services. That's how I feed my children, and I will not apologize for that. However, I don't go out and start emailing people I don't know asking for their money. We have a service set up, we have platforms set up, and people come to us to sign up for our newsletter, to sign up for our services. And yes, they are services for pay, but you do what I feel get a great product in return. And that's how we deal. And I think that that is typically what companies you can trust do. They don't reach out to you from the blue. They're certainly not calling you up and saying, I can make your book a bestseller if you give me $10,000. You know, I can slap an Amazon bestseller title on almost any book. And if I was doing it for $10,000 a pop and doing 10 of them a week and multiplying that out, well, I could be a rich woman. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night because I have a conscience, but I could be rich. So let's just keep that in mind. All right, I've got more questions. Let me see. All right, yeah, what about Andy Weir's The Martian? Again, it happens. There are times where self-published books get picked up by publishers, but keep in mind, Andy Weir's The Martian, I believe, got picked up for film first, and then it got so popular because of film that it kind of snowballed from there. And I will always say, the advice I give, the experiences I give are for the vast majority. There are exceptions for the exceptions. There are really big titles that have been picked up by different publishers and rights have been sold and things will happen, but that's not the standard. But I do believe in Andy's case, I do believe that it actually started snowballing because it got picked up early as a film and then kind of went from there. Okay. Not really a question, more of a comment for your audience. I just received the copyright certificate I submitted over 13 months ago. I love that, David. I'm hearing that. The Copyright Office, they are so backed up. So if you are submitting for copyright and you're like, what the heck? If you're submitting for Library of Congress, same thing. I'm hearing a minimum of 1 year. Now I'm sure people who know people might get it sooner, but typically you're going to be waiting for a year, and it's mostly just important that you submit for it. Just get her done, as my dad would say. Let me see, back to my emails. Let's see. How important is Library of Congress control number data? Library of Congress control number is fantastic because it gets you in the library systems. However, If you're applying for a LCCN or a Library of Congress control number, you must have, to actually get approved and get a full LCCN, you must have 10 titles by 3 different authors under your imprint. Most indie publishers do not qualify for that, which is why we highly recommend a PCIP, which is a publisher catalog and publication block, which is kind of the way that you get cataloged. You just have to pay for it. It still works essentially the same way. It's very similar. Can you apply for LCCN? Yes, typically it's just not approved for, again, anyone with less than 10 titles, 3 authors under the same imprint. If we want to get a PCIP, it says you need the copyright first. If copyright are backed up, is it okay to get the PCIP later? What you need is not to actually file the copyright. You need to put your stamp on it and say, I'm copywriting this in the US legally. You put that little copyright symbol in your name on an original work and you have copyrighted it. That is legally copyrighted. What you're doing, copywritten, I don't know. Anyway, gonna think too hard on that one. What you are doing when you send into the copyright office is you are filing your copyright so that you have added protection. It's simply an extra layer. So you should have your copyright symbol on your copyright page, on your copyright page in your book, and that is enough. That's all you need for the PCIP. And how do you get a PCIP? I just did this yesterday for someone. I personally love the Donahue group. The Donahue group is super fabulous. They have a form online that you fill out. You do need your cover, your title page, and your copyright page. Those must be done. You submit it online for an ebook and a print book. It is $160, but if you use the code Collins _DGI, I think it is, you will get a 10% discount. They're not an affiliate. I get nothing for recommending them. I just simply love them. And also you get a discount. So it's awesome. They do this. They will get you in the OCLC system, which is the WorldCat system. So you will actually be cataloged, which means if a librarian wants your book, they do not have to catalog it. They have to look your ISBN up and say, I have this book. And then you're cataloged in their system and they can put you on the shelves. It's a value added feature that I highly, highly recommend. Oh, I didn't know that, David. I use it often, so, but I guess it's always for different people. But there's that initial code at least. All right. You see, I worked with an author. This happened for picked up by publishers. She was definitely a unicorn in this, and her advance was huge but extremely rare. Exactly, it does happen. I'm not saying it never happens where a book that's already out gets picked up by a bigger publisher and advance is offered, certain things like that. It's just, as Caroline said, it's a unicorn. It doesn't happen every day. Do not hold your breath. You will turn blue. But if it happens to you, awesome. But if you've already got your book out there, I think the best you can do for yourself is to market your book and do awesome on your own. And maybe you'll attract people who want that book, but also keep writing. We can't rest on the books we wrote 10 years ago. You have to keep writing and keep putting things out in the marketplace if you want to make it as an author today. Let me see. I think I got that one. So yes, Felice, you should absolutely, you have everything you need. I know personally that you have what you need. So I think that you should go ahead and submit for your PCIP now. Caroline's asking, how do you make the copyright symbol on your computer? My friends, I wish I could say that I was this smart, but you know what I do? I'll show you what I do. Yes, insert special symbols. I'll show you what I personally do. You can all laugh at me. It'll be awesome. I'm confident. I don't mind if you laugh at me. Hang on. So this is what I do. oh, I need the copyright symbol. And then I go like this. Hey, Google, I need the copyright symbol. And then Google gives it to me. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. Great. Now I can copy it and then I can paste it into my document. I'm sure that there is some keyboard trick or like something in the document that you could right click and just insert a symbol and you could find it. And smart people may do it that way, but this is how I do it. Confessions of a publishing expert who doesn't know how to use her keyboard. It is what it is, right? All right. Let's see. To insert the copyright symbol, press Control-Alt-C. See, I told you, smart people know how to do this. And if you can remember Control-Alt-C, then fantastic. Yeah, a copy and paste. I do it the cheater way, but Felice has told us that there's like a real way to do it. Control-Alt-C. Now you all know. The parentheses on the small letter C, Michael, used to work for me, but my Word updated and it does not anymore. Oh, and for Max, hold down the Option key and press the G key. Please, where have you been? Where have you been all of my life? Now you know. And so now we're all a little bit more educated because of the hive mind. I think it's hilarious. Love you all. It takes a village, as I often say. And it's in vellum too, see? Love it. Learn new things every day. All right. I don't think I have. All right. Let me see. I think I got all my questions. Let me see back in my email because I know I had more. This one was about APHIs. We answered that one. Okay, this one is from Mark. This question might show my ignorance as a first-time author, but here goes. There are rarely stupid questions. I won't say never, but rarely. So let's jump in. I am in the process of finding an agent for my first book, Nonfiction Sports. An agent replied same day to my query manager outreach earlier this week and asked me to send my book proposal in a Word doc. Yay, way to go, Mark. I previously copy and pasted it into Query Manager per her submission instructions. She then asked for it in a Word doc so she could send me back some suggested edits. She also said my book subject is right up my alley, but at no time did she specifically say she wants to represent me. Based on her response today, what level of confidence should I have of an offer? Well, here's the thing. She may not want to represent me yet. It is a great sign. Getting that response so quickly, getting interest in your proposal is awesome. Absolutely be excited, but know if they are asking for your Word doc proposal and they are saying that they have changes or edits, they may come back with things that you are not open to. So it may be something that they're going to throw some things at you and you're like, yeah, that would make it better. I'd be all right with that. If you want to work together, we can make these changes. But there may be things that go in there and you're like, nope, hard stop. Or there may be some back and forth and then they go, actually, I've decided it's not a good fit right now. I have seen people get now for nonfiction, of course, you've got your proposals. For fiction, I have seen people get queries for 10 pages. And they're like, okay, send me 50 pages. Okay, send me the whole novel. They get the whole novel and they're so excited. And then the agent reads it and they're like, you know, it was good. It's just not quite what I'm looking for right now. After a full manuscript request, I have one person who got 3 of these and got the same answer. Now this person went on to publish and be very successful and fabulous, but sometimes it's just not a fit and you don't know till the last hour. So you have a reason to be excited and congratulations on the interest. Keep going with it, but don't stop your querying yet. In fact, as soon as you get interest, I would query even more, because if this agent says, you know, I think I am interested. Now is your only opportunity. Once that agent says they are interested and they want to sign you, you can follow up with other agents that have already shown interest in your work, but you cannot, well, you can, but it's really bad form to keep querying after you have an offer on the table. So now they've shown interest, fantastic. You can keep on querying until they make an offer. If they make an offer, you stop new queries and you only should follow up with the older queries. And when you do that follow up with anyone who's shown any interest, the way you follow up is, I now have an offer on the table, but because I had already previously queried you, I wanted to give you the opportunity to jump in as well. I have 48 hours, please let me know. That is acceptable. So don't stop querying, keep on, because what happens when you have a bidding war, you make more, you get better deals, and you may get an agent that's a better fit for you. So keep that in mind. Now's your time to keep querying. Definitely be excited, but it's not a done deal. But regardless, so exciting that you got it so quick, and congratulations. If I'm not mistaken, I think we talked a long time ago and you were on the fence about going for an agent. So I'm very excited for you. Let me see this question. Okay. We had a question from Denise about having a book cover up on Goodreads and wanting to change that book cover. And she said she could not figure out how to change the cover. She had it up on Goodreads and she was trying to change it. She can edit the details, the description, but she couldn't figure out how to change the cover. Here's why. The average person cannot change a cover on Goodreads, even if it's your own book. You have the right to put up one. Anything more than that, you actually have to put in a request to a librarian. How do you do that? What does that mean? Give me a second. I'll share my screen. I just wrecked, which was funny. I'm so easily amused. I know. Let me see. Randy, I'm going to be like the next poet. Just wait for my book coming soon. All right. Here we go. So if you're in Goodreads and you are an author, I'm going to show you a group that you need to join immediately. If you go onto Goodreads and you go to community, please go to the groups tab. And at the groups tab, there's featured, which is great, whatever. But what you want is right under here, popular groups, Goodreads librarians groups. Librarians on Goodreads, librarians are the people who have the authority and permission to update books for you. So if you have a change that you need, you join this group. And also, like anything on Goodreads, you can search and they've got so many great posts in here if you're having problems. But what you do is you actually make a post saying, need a cover changed, and they will do it for you. They have people who hang out in this group who get notifications, and someone, you say, this is what I need done, and they will be like, oh, hey, got it covered for you, and they will update that for you. So you cannot change your own cover. You have to go through this process. And so the Goodreads librarian group, like anything you can see, you know, obviously, please read before posting, please read the rules, but please add this book. I need help combining something. I need a new cover. Please change book cover. See this one right here. Let's just creep on this person for a minute. So they're simply saying, please change the cover of title on Goodreads. I highly recommend that you put the link in there as well as the ISBN to match its cover on Amazon. And then they have a link. The cover is located here. And they also gave that there. Thank you in advance for your help. It is appreciated. And then you see right here, this lovely person. And this was like, I mean, this happened this morning. They posted 2.5 hours ago, and about an hour in, someone said, alternate cover edition added. It's already done because these lovely fantastic librarian groups on Goodreads are doing it for us. So if you are having problems, you can kind of see it, and these people are fantastic. So if you want a new cover put up on your book, or if you had done like a cover reveal, or you didn't have a cover when you put it up on Goodreads and now you have your cover, this is where you want to go to get those changes made. Right in the librarian group, which again, you go to community, you go to groups, and it is the top one under popular. I've never seen the librarians group not be the first one under there, so you should always be able to find it. Hopefully that helps, Denise. And Randy, I will not quit my day job. I know I have mad skills with my rhyming and things like that, but I will leave it to those more skilled than I. I will not go putting out a poetry book anytime soon. You're welcome, world. Let me see. I think we may have all of our questions. If you guys have any more questions, we have a couple more minutes. Drop them in. Trying to think of some of the questions that I've gotten recently. Oh, there's one in the questions box. Questions about librarians. Do librarians order all the time? Is there a time when librarians don't order? Yes, librarians order all the time. A lot of libraries, it depends on the size. Some libraries order weekly, some order monthly, and some order quarterly. So it depends on the size, but they're always looking for new books. They're always putting them on their list. The only things that you may not hit for librarians is if you have a children's book and you're going to school libraries, keep in mind that librarians do kind of work the beginning, like a little bit past the school year and a little bit before the school year, but they do take a break. They take some vacation right there in the summer. So it's probably not the best time to reach school librarians in like July and August. Otherwise, librarians are always doing that. Yes. I do have some amazing rhyming skills, and I blame that on my father. When I was a kid, I don't even know how it started. My dad and I, whenever he would drive me places, we would talk in rhyme. So whatever we said, the end of what you said had to rhyme with what the other person had just said. And my dad and I did that for years. It probably sounded like crazy people, but it's a great memory that I have with my dad. However, it was not poetic, nor am I poetic. Let's be honest. I am more blunt and to the point than poetic. I like to read poetry though. Yeah, an update on Books to Big Screen. Books to Big Screen is still going great. We are getting more and more interest from publishers, more and more interest from production companies. We are getting interest from agents. We have a couple of books that have been signed by agents and are being shopped right now to be optioned. We have one who had some interest from Hallmark, fingers crossed, and we are just getting more and more interest from that. We do send out, if you join Books to Big Screen, we send out our pitches to our list of agents and producers and all of those things. They go out for completed pitches. So if you've done the course, if you've done the Books to Big Screen course, you know that at the end, you are taken through the steps to create a pitch deck and a log line. Once you do that, you upload them. Once it's uploaded, we have your files. Woo! You have a meeting with Dr. Rob or someone on the Books to Big Screen team, and everything is fine-tuned. Once that happens, you go into our database of books that can be optioned for film, and your pitch deck and your log line go in there. And once we have that, you go out in our monthly mail out to the people who've joined our list, the producers, the agents, and all of those kinds of things. So that goes out at the end of every month. So we're in midway through March. If you're in that course and you are working on your pitch and your log line and all of that, once you get to the end, we will submit for you and send it out to all of our contacts. And you have until about the last week of the month to do that. And as always, if you have questions about anything, if you have log lines that you're kind of worrying over and aren't working for you, put it in the Books to Big Screen Facebook group. Rob and I are both in there. We both kind of look and make sure that we catch anything that people see. Question about reviews. I keep getting global rating stars, but no reviews. What does that mean? Well, what it means, my friend, is that when you read a book now on Kindle specifically, there's an option to leave a rating and not leave a written review. And so what that means is people are willing to give you stars and be done with it. They are not taking the time to write a written review. Let's be honest, some of us are lazy. Sometimes we just can't think of what to say and different things like that. So they are just giving you ratings, not a full written review. It still counts towards the algorithms. It counts towards your star and your star rating and all of that. But when you see a discrepancy, when you have ratings, you have 19 ratings, but only 6 reviews. That means that 19 people have read and star rated your book, but they're not writing written reviews, and that's all it means. Typically, since that has happened, almost every book will outrank in ratings than reviews because people simply just don't review all of it. They're not writing anything down. They're both great. Certainly, we do want written reviews that actually talk about the book, but ratings are awesome as well. Let's see. As far as production companies, that is not something I typically, as far as specific companies, I always say, do your research, look into it. I don't typically make recommendations, or I try not to say anything negative about companies in particular. I think that we should all do our own research. Definitely a Google search does amazing things. So look into it that way. If you have specific questions, email me, but I think that overall, we should do some research on our own, and I don't want to put any higher lows on any company, especially if I don't have personal experience with them. All right. Yes. So all of this, if you're looking for books to big screen, it's just books to big screen. Whoops. Books to bigscreen.com. And Books to Big Screen is a course. It is a paid course. So if you're looking to figure out how to pitch your book to the film industry, if you want to know how to create your pitch deck and your log line and things like that, Books to Big Screen is a course that will teach you about the film industry, that will walk you through the steps. And at the end, you have the opportunity to create your own pitch deck in your log line for one book or a series. And when you do that, we do pitch it out to our personal contacts. So it's through Books to Big Screen. We are only pitching out books that have gone through this process. We are not at this time just taking ideas and pitching out. Part of why we have people interested in this program in the film industry, those producers and things like that, is because they really like that these authors have already created their pitch deck and logline, and they have been trained on how to work in the film industry. They don't want to teach authors how to work with them. They want them to come in knowledgeable, just like when we're pitching bookstores. And so we are only pitching out books that have gone through this program. That's our agreement with anyone on our list. So bookstobigscreen.com. Yeah, the interviews, there's so much insight from agents, from producers. There is so much insight into the industry through this course. It's so valuable. Even though I was part of producing it, and I knew some, but what I thought I knew, it's like this much compared to what I know now. And a lot of it's just from Rob and his connections, and those interviews are really good. Let me see. What is an editorial rating on Amazon? Kate, I can't say I've seen an editorial rating, but if you mean an editorial review is something that is editorial. It came from a newspaper. Sometimes you can get away with a blog. It came from professional review publications like Kirkus or something like that. And you can submit those yourself. You can put them up on editorial reviews through Author Central. What you want to do is you want to go log into your Author Central account. There's a tab that says books. Click on the book that you want, click on the format you want, and on that next screen is an option, if you scroll about midway down, that says editorial reviews, and you can add them in manually there so that it shows up in the editorial review section of your Amazon page. But keep in mind, this is not reader reviews. This is not Amazon reviews. Amazon already has their reviews down below. This is editorial. So if it's, like I said, a blog, if it is a Kirkus review or a Midwest book review, if you have a local newspaper reviewed your book, anything like that can go into editorial reviews. And it's just kind of a spot for professional reviewers that we're not asking to leave reviews on Amazon. All right, I think I got them all. We've got 8 more minutes. If you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. But we've flown through a lot of stuff today. We are heading into March, so we are heading into the spring, which is a big publishing time. If you have children's books, my friends, if you have a children's book, do keep in mind that the 2 biggest sales times for children's books and middle grade reader books specifically, 2 biggest buying seasons is just Christmas, October, November, December, but also the next biggest sales season may even supersede Christmas is Easter. So right now, if you've got children's books, I hope you have your Amazon ads going. If you are working with local bookstores, now's a really good time to pitch your book and how it would be a great Easter display, especially if it's, you know, anything that's got fluffy bunnies on it. Children's books right now are hot, hot, hot. Do know that the publishing season for fiction books is coming up as well. Big publishing houses typically will do a bunch of their new releases in the spring so that they're out for summer. So that's coming up. And of course, we've kind of got that season now where if you're pitching for schools, you're at the end of it now. So school pitching you can do, you may not get in for the end of the year, but certainly think about it for next year. People plan in advance and they budget in advance. And we are coming up on summer reads. So anything that is women's fiction, romance, cozy mysteries, they go crazy in the summer when people are kind of sitting by the pool, when moms are home with their kids, when teachers are off. We see that come in a big spike. Let's see, Mike is saying, I've been getting additional star ratings on Amazon for an older book I have that does not have a Kindle version. Any idea how that happens? Yes. So while I specifically mentioned the Kindle, because that is where it pops in on, like I read books on my phone because I can take my phone everywhere, and I do. So I read Kindle books on my phone. And what happens is when I get to the last page, I don't even know if you guys can see it. All right, so give me a second here. Yeah, I'm struggling. We know this is no big surprise. So what happens is this screen pops up. If you can kind of see it, this screen pops up at the very end of when I'm reading. It automatically pops up. And so I can say, yep, I want to, I'm not giving this person a 1 star. I have a heart, but I can change the rating right there. And then it gives me the option right here to write a written review. And then I can recommend it if I want, or I can say, no, thank you. I can say, no, thank you. I don't want to do a written review. I just want to do a rating. And then I leave the rating there. That pops up automatically on your Kindle. If it is for a paperback book, they can still go on to their Amazon account, and you can now do a star rating for any product, not just Kindle books. So I can go on to my account, and the running shoes I just bought, I can give a star rating without a written review now. I can do it for your paperback. So you may be seeing those on your paperbacks as well. We are just seeing it more with Kindle books because it's right there. I don't have to go back to an Amazon account. I don't have to think about it. It pops up at the very end and it's more instantaneous. How to share my phone on Zoom. Then you would know all my secrets, Tara, which is a lot of dog pics, a lot of dog and kid pics. But yeah, that is how it works. So you may be seeing more reviews overall. And that's essentially what it was, is Amazon realized that a lot of people didn't want to write a review. They didn't want to like have a full review written out. And so they were like, all right, well, will you do star ratings? And when they realized people would, and that it would help people know what products were trending in the marketplace and if people liked them or not, they changed it to a star rating option as well, which in most cases is good. In some cases, it gives people a little bit of a power trip on, well, I can give a 1-star rating and not even have to tell them why. So I'm going to give it a 1 star. So of course we have those people. And I always jokingly say to my authors, if you don't have a 1-star rating, you just haven't made it into an author yet. And when you get your first 1-star rating, you did it, you made it. Someone doesn't like you, and that means that your reviews and your ratings look more authentic and realistic, because eventually someone's not going to love what you do, and that's okay. Doesn't mean you're marketing wrong, doesn't mean you're a bad writer. It means that not everyone will love you. Just like I tell my 11-year-old daughter, not everyone will love you, honey. Just stay in your lane and it's fine. Let's see. Yes, and sometimes they just don't like what your book is, which I think is hilarious. I had someone called me and she goes, I got a 1 star. It happened. I know you told me it would happen, but I want you to read it first so I know it's coming. I need you to like break the news for me. So I don't know if you realize, but I am part book marketing and publishing consultant and part therapy. So I was like, all right. I mean, she called me and I was like, okay, let me look. And I looked, and this 1-star review, you guys, this 1-star review was, book was fine. I didn't like the main character's name. It was the name of my ex-wife. That is why this person got 1-star review, not because of bad writing, poor editing. They did not like the name of the main character because it was the same character as their ex-wife. So they gave the book 1 star. People do what they do, and it's fine. I mean, that's not going to keep anyone from buying the book. I mean, people are just, they are just crazy. You know, it is. It's true. Let's see. Yes, also, I've also seen that where you have a glowing review, but then it's a 1 star and you're like, hello. Sometimes it's finger fumble. Some people don't understand the rating system. I've seen all sorts of things happen. So, you know, it is what it is. Take it with a grain of salt. Now, if you are consistently getting poor reviews, if you're consistently getting 2-star reviews and it says, great story, but horrible editing, found a lot of proofreading errors, so on and so forth. If that happens, that is a clue to go proofread your book and then correct anything that may be wrong. I've seen that happen before. If there are consistent things that you can fix, consider fixing it. Now, if people just don't like your story, it's not for everyone, and maybe they just don't like it. Maybe it wasn't the time for it in the market, and that happens. Let that roll off your back. But if it is something that you can fix and it's a technical error, then that is something that you should pay attention to. And if you need a friend to read your reviews for you, then do that. And sometimes you just don't read your reviews. Although I will say, so many authors I know, they get these lovely reviews. They're so nice, they're encouraging, and so they like to read the reviews because they like to get the feedback from people. But there are also some nasty reviews. So I have clients, because I typically meet with long-term clients. We typically meet every other week, and I will have some clients who say, okay, can we look at my reviews? You look first, and then we look at them. And if it's bad, I kind of prep them for it, and then we look at it, and that way they get the best of both worlds. So maybe you need a friend, maybe you need a guru to help you go through your reviews, and that's okay too. Randy, maybe it was too profane. We know you. Let me see. In Ingram Spark, we can set a publication date and an on sale date. They recommend making it the same date. However, can retailers order the book to have on sale on the release date if they're the same? No, they cannot. So what it is, if you have a publication date and an on sale date, the on sale date means that the actual retailer can order early. If you want them to have that book in their store for launch day, then you need to have the on sale date set for about a week earlier. That means books will start shipping prior to the pub date. So if you have a book and you're asking people to stock it for launch day, the on sale date should be about a week before, so it's got time to ship. Otherwise, what happens for a pre-order, if the wholesale or the store, the retailer orders, it will ship out on your pub date. So that's the difference there. Why do they recommend being the same? I would guess here, I do not know, I've not heard this from the horse's mouth, but I would guess that they recommend this being the same simply because they don't want to take the time to explain to people exactly how that retail process works. And I would venture to guess that the majority of the people using Ingram Spark are not having bookstores order their book in advance for a launch day. They are pitching them afterwards. So I think it's probably just simpler for their market to recommend that they stay the same. And also that means if you set your on sale date prior to the pub date, you have to remember that has to be your final files. And that again is another level of confusion for, let's say, the everyday self-published author. And so they may just try to simplify by saying, do it the same for all. It's very rare that I will tell people to have the on sale date be earlier than their pub date, unless they are doing some type of big pre-order campaign. They're going out to bookstores, that kind of thing. All right, I think that we have covered all the things. We've gone from rhyming to profanity to books and reviews and therapy. We have covered it all. I think we've covered it for today. If you guys have questions, we'll see you next week, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern. You can email questions to info@newshelves.com. Our replay will go up kind of hopefully on Monday for Free Advice Friday on YouTube. You can follow us there at youtube.com/newshelvesbooks, and we will see you next week. Bye.